Good evening then to everybody here at Motive Racing, and welcome to the season finale in Tier 2.
I don't think they're rolling yet.
No, it's
I think we're rolling. Hold on. 1, 3, 2, 1, and action.
Good evening then, and welcome to Motive Racing for the final race of the season here at the Clio Cup in Tier 2 round Monza Short, where this man on screen at the moment, Little Each, can take the title tonight. I think, if I'm correct, he has to finish 8th or higher to win the title. Can Rotti try and stop him in his quest to becoming the Clio Cup champion at Motive Racing? I'm joined tonight by Andy again.
Hello everybody. Looking forward to this to see who potentially might take that final or couple of final top 5 spots here in this Tier 2 tonight. Obviously the top 5 from this tier will gain promotion to our top tier, Tier 1, so there's a lot at stake tonight, and not just a championship between Little Leach and Rotti, as you mentioned, which is looking overwhelmingly like it's going to be Little Leach, but obviously you've got guys like NJ, TJ Hompy, Gary in those 3rd, 4th and 5th spots, by no means safe. You've got Superfast Joe not too far off of them in 6th. Bullen has an outside shot at getting himself into that top 5 as well. If one of those guys that we just mentioned, NJ, TJ Hompy or Gary, has a total mare and Bullen takes the win, then he could be on for that top 5 spot. So there is a lot going on here tonight. So stay tuned, hang on to your seats, guys. This is going to be an incredible evening of racing.
Well, I can tell you that NJ isn't actually going to be with us tonight, as he's had to stay at work. We're speaking with Little Each earlier, who knows NJ as well. NJ will not be here tonight, so that top 5 spot for him in terms of promotion could come under a bit of threat, depending on how well Superfast Joe and Bullen can do here. Don't forget, last week we saw Bullen run out of fuel. We saw TJ Hompy, I think, ran out of fuel as well. We saw Rotti disconnect from the session early on. So a lot of drop points affecting this top 5 battle between them last week. 100%. And Rotti pretty much threw the championship away last week with the disconnection.
Yeah, he pretty much did, and I think it was a disconnection, yeah, but at the time it seemed to happen quite soon after some particular drama happened to him, which made it look like he did do a rage quit, but it turned out afterwards that, as you say, it was his Wi-Fi. But Rotti's currently sat at top of the leaderboard here in this qualifying session, and he's had a solid season. Apart from last week, he's been so consistent. A couple of podium finishes, a couple of 4th place finishes. It was consistency that was keeping him at the top of the leaderboard. He obviously lost that last time out at Silverstone, but he's currently setting a blistering pace at the moment. He's got a bit of slipstream here as he comes over the line. Let's see what he can do here as he comes over. 55.9, first man under the 56s here in this qualifying session. Gary currently at P2 at the moment. Little Leach, the championship leader and overwhelming favourite tonight, currently sat in 3rd. He comes over the line now and he improves his time by the tiniest of fractions, but not enough to put himself up at the top. Superfast Joe though, P2 there, Matthew.
Heck of a time from Superfast Joe there indeed. Gary currently sitting in P3 as Bunyip Adventure, the debutant from last week who took his maiden pole position, has just taken the pole from Rotti by 0.2 of a second, so a fantastic lap from Bunyip Adventure on his 2nd round. And you mentioned consistency there, Andy. You look at Little Each, he missed 1 round and he's been very consistent since, with a win at Silverstone, a win at Rapuna Park, a couple of 2nd and 3rd places in there as well. NJ's been sort of up and down. Gary's been consistent. I know he missed the first 2 rounds, but he's had 3 podiums, 2 wins and a 3rd. So consistency is the key for the title here, and that last week just kind of didn't help Rotti out there, yet to stand on the top step of the podium as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Rotti needs to pull something out of the bag tonight. I just saw Gary there coming through the S section in between the 2 long straights, just getting sideways, but I don't think that was picked up on the TV monitor.
No, we was on with Bunyip Adventure there. Here is Gary coming down the back straight towards Parabolica.
Yeah,
very
Gary's
quick track. Sorry, go on, Andy.
I was going to say Gary's one of those who's looking pretty good here for a promotion. Obviously, with the absence of NJ, he pretty much just needs to get a solid result. I reckon if he's in the top 5, then we'll see him making sure that he stays in that top 5 spot in the championship standings.
Indeed we do. As Rotti sets a new fastest lap there, goes 0.3 ahead of Bunyip Adventure. Little Each championship leader, currently sitting down in 7th, is about to cross the line now and goes half a second quicker, puts him back up to P4. No tow from Little Leach. I'm surprised he's not dropped back to sacrifice a lap to get a tow from somebody here. Maybe help him out.
Yeah, at the moment Little Leach seems pretty confident. He might be closing in on this pack that we see, and there's a bit of drafting going on actually between these boys. You can see just coming down the back straight as the cameraman.
Yeah, that's Gary Rotti and
Klaus Martini in the middle.
Klaus Martini, yeah. There's TJ Humpy's just put in a good time to go P3. So good lap time from him. Another one I've noticed he's had an outside chance of a top 5 finish is Bullen. Can't see Bullen on the list of names. As Gary and Klaus Martini have had a coming together out of Parabolica and down the start finish line. Klaus Martini goes into the pit lane. That's not going to help them two then. Set up for their next lap. They'll be down on speed as it is. Little Leach has just gone into 3rd currently. Banya
Adventures up to 2nd there. Rotti there was going top. Let's see what Banya Adventures is going to do over the line. He's going to get a bit of slipstream here. And he goes top of the leaderboard.
Second. That's brilliant. A heck of a time. Absolutely. Really is an outstanding lap time to go 3/10 quicker than Rotti. Not really with much slipstream there neither, Andy. Kind of on his own. He's really put the hammer down and has got some pace.
Yeah, he has, and seems to have just been putting in a lot of practice. As you see, just pulled into the pits there, so maybe he is trying to get some slipstream for his final run. Maybe would have been better off backing up. Could have been fuel actually. Potentially for Banya Adventures. We've got Rotti coming up on the line now though. He's currently 3/10 off of Banya Adventures provisional pole time. Let's see what he can do here. He comes over the line.
And just a 10th down there for him. Little Leach across the line with a bit of slipstream. No improvement for him. Didn't see any improvement from Gary. Leto Melito we've not seen towards the back of the field here. Declan Grant, we see normally running at the front of the pack, the Lagmobile, but currently down in P10. He's not had the best of qualifying sessions here as well. 10 drivers on the grid. Yeah, I think Ben is having problems with his connection. I've seen him disconnect and rejoin quite a lot tonight. It's Leto Melito out of Parabolica and down the start finish straight now. Only 1.1 off. I tell you what, the top 7 separated by near enough 9/10 of a second as Leto Melito goes 8th. It's really close on this field at the moment, Andy.
It's incredibly close. At the moment, Banya Adventures got a bit of a gap to Rotti at the top. 3/10 of a second is quite a large margin around this track. There's not a whole load of room for error, but Rotti also running pretty clear ahead of the rest of the pack as we see Banya Adventures coming over the line. Can he improve on his lap? Looks like he can't for the time being. Stays on provisional pole. We've got Rotti just coming down the back straight up towards Parabolica. We've got Little Leach currently P3s. Seems to be running with I think it's that Gary there with Little Leach. It is indeed. Those two seem to be.
Yeah, I wonder if they're drafting as a team with Super Vitters as well to see if he can improve on his times. As TJ Humpy's about to cross the line here then. And there's no improvement for TJ Humpy. Rotti coming round out of Parabolica down the start finish straight now. See what lap time he can get in. No improvement for him neither. Now where is Little Leach? Like I say, has the tow. He's got the tow there off a Superfast Joe. The blue and black coloured car with the yellow trim. Gary in the same colours but with red trim. No improvement for Little Leach there then. So no improvement then for these drivers so far. Most of them on their last lap. Some will probably get another lap in. Here comes Declan Grant down the line and no improvement for him as he crosses. Gary's in the pits, so Gary will not get another lap in then. Banya Adventure you see just behind Little Leach. Now I don't think he was behind Little Leach on the last lap, so has he made a mistake coming through one of the corners? Not quite sure, but Rotti's on the exit to Parabolica. Has he got anything in his tank here? He's got 18 seconds. Probably will get one last lap in, depending if he's got the fuel in the car. But let's see if Rotti can take pole away from Banya Adventure here. No, he can't.
Banya Adventure on his final run here, coming out on the Parabolica, though. He's not going to get a lap in after this, so this is going to be it for Banya Adventures. Can he try and rub salt in the wound here with Little Leach also out there on a lap?
Oh.
Looks like Banya Adventures can't do so. We've got Little Leach still out there at the moment. But I think he's failed to do it as well.
Yeah, so. he's finished his lap time, so no improvement for Little Leach. Penguin Dude. I think the last car on the track, someone's about to cross the line. Penguin Dude very wide.
Klaus Martini couldn't improve there, stays P9. It's all on Penguin Dude, but I think he would have been invalidated there. That is surely going to be that for the session here. So Bunyip Adventures is going to take his second pole position in as many weeks here in the Clio Cup motive racing. He's really made the most incredible of introductions, and I'm sure that if he does end up getting a wildcard entry into Tier 1 next season, he will be more than deserving of it, because he's shown that he's got the pace to fight at the top over the course of his 2 races here this season, or 2 events so far.
Yeah, no, just backing up what you said there, is the 2 weeks that he's been on, and we've seen the cracking race he had with Little Leach last week at Silverstone, really showing his pace, but he takes a second pole position here from Rotti in second, championship leader Little Leach sits third with TJ Hompey fourth, Gary in fifth place, Penguin Dude sixth, Klaus Martini seventh, Superfast Joe eighth, Leto Melito in ninth, and Declan Grant 10th. And just going back to the Bunyip Adventure, who was mentioning just earlier, he really had a good fight with Little Leach all race. The whole race of last week, they dropped sort of third place, and it was just them two battling it out on track, not sort of bumping each other, clean racing between the two. And it ultimately came down to getting a second time penalty at the end of the race that kind of cost him the win.
It did, because he actually got the move at the end of the race, crossed the line in first place. So Bunyip Adventures is going to be absolutely desperate to go one better this time out. He will have been gutted at how that race got away from him last week. It would have been the most unbelievable of debuts had he brought that one home. But as I say, it's not going to be easy, and especially with the wet conditions, torrential rain falling here, thunderstorms in the area as well. We're hearing the threat of lightning possibly striking Monza short this evening, so there's a lot of things that can happen in the next half an hour that might prevent Bunyip Adventures from taking his maiden victory here in the Clio Cup. But Rotti, I'm sure, is going to be wanting to maximise his chances of taking that championship, what with Little Leach being sat just behind him, and obviously the rain might play a factor and stop Little Leach from being able to be in his usual high-flying positions. So we'll have to wait and see. My money very much on Little Leach, though, on converting his championship lead to a championship.
Yeah, I think my money is as well. I think he's got to have a disastrous race for him to not win the title tonight, especially considering if he does need, if what I was told is true from Little Leach, he does need 8th or better, considering there's only 10 cars on the grid. Just can't see him finishing 9th or 10th.
Yeah, probably retirement or just some kind of disaster.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that could happen, I suppose, obviously in the wet, but it's one of those tracks where there's not really a whole load of room for error, so I would say, yeah, it's very, very unlikely that we're going to see Little Leach as far down as where he'd need to be in order to lose this championship. But anything can happen in this next half an hour. We're about to go lights out.
And we're away at Monza Short, and look at the start there from Rotti. Bunyip Adventure got a bit bogged down off the line, but Rotti's not seemed to get away well after that. Since then, Little Leach is going to try and look up the inside. There's an incident in the background. I can't see who that is. I think Klaus Martini was involved. But Little Leach very conservative through turn 1 with Gary
Penguin
just
Dude.
trying to look. Sorry?
Yeah, Penguin Dude had an absolute mare coming through turn 1. Klaus Martini, and in the end he's dropped way off the leader, so Penguin Dude's lost the rest of the pack as they come out onto the back straight. But Gary up into P2 ahead of Rotti now. He's out dragging him towards the Parabolica. Little Leach currently attacking the inside. Looks like Rotti loses 2 positions there on the run up towards Parabolica, so he's not going to be happy about that at all. That's not going to do him no good in his pursuit of an outside chance of the championship here, as we see Little Leach making the move on his championship rival on the brakes. Gary going all sorts of wide there on the exit of Parabolica, all the way onto the artificial grass, and you see that Little Leach almost taking a swipe at him inadvertently as he came by, but TJ Hompey now getting involved in the action. You can see there on the inside, Declan Grant has come from nowhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at Declan Grant. He's absolutely had a great start. Here is Little Leach just jumping. Oh, and he's into Rotti.
Oh no, TJ Hompey just saw them coming on the inside there. Rotti was sandwiched in the middle, and Declan Grant
what's happened to Gary?
managed just to squeeze through. Oh, what a start to the race.
I didn't see what happened to Gary there, but he was stopped at turn 1. I don't know if he clipped the wall as he was on the outside of Little Leach, but Little Leach now up into second with Declan Grant. In fact, no, Declan Grant second! Leads on Little Leach, and he's off! Little Leach is on the grass and manages to recover it back. Rotti then P4. And everything Little Leach wouldn't want to happen here is touching and rubbing with other cars. It's happening. This could be even worse. Leto Melito is in the pit lane. Not sure if that's a retirement. No, he's coming out the pits now. But Declan Grant up to second, Bunyip Adventure, and it has gone here off the line, 4 seconds up the road. Little Leach behind his closest championship rival in Rotti. Declan Grant from by the back of the grid up to second place. So a fantastic start for him. Super fast Joe's got himself up into 6th place ahead of TJ Humpy, who we seen last week was a bit naughty, a few barges out the way of people at Silverstone, and again they're just rubbing with the wrong cars as Klaus Martini gains on the back of TJ Humpy. In fact, goes up the inside of Superfast Joe, who makes a mistake coming through the section.
Ahead of Little Leach, though. I don't know what happened to Little Leach there, but Declan just drove past him like he wasn't even there.
Oh, Gary's off! Gary's off and Gary's round in the background. He's gone very wide and onto the grass. And I tell you what, if he was hoping to help out Little Leach tonight, that's not going to work with him sat down in P9. Penguin Dude, who was well off the back of the pack at the start of the race as he had a spin. He's now 8th, sitting on the back of this pack for 3rd place, which Rotty now still in front of Little Leach. At the moment, as Little Leach looking to tuck back up the inside at the exit of Parabolica, should have the better line through there, and looks like he's going to take 3rd place back from Rotty. Will have the inside line if he can keep it there as well. Look behind though, Klaus Martini and TJ Humpy are going side by side down the start finish straight. We head down towards turn 1. You've got 2 in front, 2 behind, side by side. It is Klaus Martini and TJ Humpy going to make it 4 into 1. I think they thought about it. They touch! And as Little Leach had been clipped, I think he has TJ Humpy into the wall.
Oh no. That is a disaster there for those guys. So Superfast
it's
Joe.
It's gone horribly wrong.
Superfast Joe there. I was looking at his onboard camera, just drove through past them, but Klaus Martini and TJ Humpy having an absolute mare, which has allowed Penguin Dude to split them two. But that was just never going to work out, as you say, 3 into 1 coming into turn 1. I'm glad they weren't 4 wide like earlier on the first lap, but even so, once you get to the corner, you've got to sort yourselves out and kind of figure out who's got the position. Yeah, you've got to use your common sense in that situation. It looked like no one was willing to back out of that one. In the end, it just ended in tears. But we've currently got Penguin Dude now getting himself in the thick of it at the moment. He's got the slipstream. You can see there off of Little Leach up ahead. Now Rotty slotting in front of him. So Penguin Dude's going to probably out-drag Klaus Martini as they come up towards turn 1.
Rotty looks like he's going to send one on Little Leach. Show it to go in. Rotty sends one on Little Leach. He's forced Little Leach into the wall! And Little Leach is in the wall! That's unbelievable! Oh, he's come back on and clipped TJ Humpy as Little Leach here. So everything Little Leach is going wrong at the moment. He's down in P8. Rotty forced him into the wall. Whether he tried to brake late and couldn't stop aquaplaning into Little Leach, I'm not sure, but bit naughty that from Rotty. And Little Leach currently down in P8. Wow, it's all happening here.
I'll tell you what, if Rotty were to end up somehow, and I say somehow, it's not going to happen, but if he were to somehow overhaul the 12-second lead that Bunny Preventions has got and take the championship, then I imagine that there would be an inquiry coming in and he would lose at least 5, if not 10 points for that, because that was a complete dive bomb up the inside. He had no realistic chance of taking that position, and in the end, Little Leach is now down to 8th place, and he's coming into the pits by the looks of it, so I don't know why. I don't know if he had a drive-through penalty maybe. Did he jump at the start? Matthew.
Potentially, but him and Gary, I've just noticed the 2 numbers on my screen have just gone red for Little Leach and Gary, so I'm not sure why. Have they picked up a penalty jumping into the pit lane? I'm not 100% sure here. Little Leach is pulling into a pit box.
Why is Little Leach coming into the pit?
So is Gary. They're both pitting. What is going off here? Have they underfueled the car?
Maybe there's a dry forecast on the radar that we don't know about, because the thing is, this is a huge gamble. I know that these Clios do handle the wet conditions on slicks much better than most cars due to the nature of them. They're low-powered cars, front-wheel drive. But saying that, I think it's a huge risk, especially when the fact that there is still light rain spitting in the air. So I don't know what's going on in these guys' heads, but whatever it is, Little Leach and Gary
they're about to be lapped by. Yeah, they're about to be lapped by Penguin Dude, TJ Humpy and Klaus Martini. So they're going to be a lap down on up to 5th place. Maybe Superfast. Rotty's also in the pit lane. So Rotty's coming in for a stop as well. But the interesting thing in that is Little Leach and Gary both have a red number, which means they've picked up a time penalty somewhere. What time penalty have they picked up, or what penalty have they picked up?
No, Matthew, I've got news for you. Gary and Little Leach have both got 10-second penalties. This
speeding in the pit lane.
Hamper Little Leach enormously in the championship.
That's got to be speeding in the pit lane then, Andy. Surely they've missed the line. And they're just going a bit too quick. Look at how slow Little is down this. Little Leach is down the straight here. He's got to have put slicks on, Andy, because look at him. He's terribly slow down this straight.
This has potentially thrown the championship away.
Oh, what has he done? I tell you one man who's benefited from this, though, Andy, is Penguin Dude was 10th place, well off the back at the start. He's currently going to go 3 wide here with Klaus Martini and Gary. Gary being a lap down.
He pits again, Matthew.
He's pitting again. Oh, what's gone wrong here?
Now I'm going to have to seek clarification on the race distance points completed rule, because I'm not 100% on this, but this could very much be relevant once we get to the end. Is Little Leach even going to be awarded points in the position that he's currently in? I'm just going to have to find out from our race director, the only G, and find out what's going on here, because Little Leach is going to lose so much time. He's going to be a couple of laps down.
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Bunyip Adventures is coming around. He's just exited the Parabolica. He's about to lap, I do believe, Rotti, and is now put a second lap over Little Leach. Has Bunyip Adventure, who looks well on his way to win his first ever race here at Motive Racing. That's Rotti, who is about to go a lap down as well. Now, it's not the best of times for Rotti as well, because even if Little Leach isn't scoring the points he needs to, or will not score if he doesn't complete full race distance, Rotti still needs a good finish to claw back the gap of points what it is at the moment. I think it's 23 points. I've just received a message from Little Leach, and I won't repeat the first bit, but he says, "Nightmare, lol." So I assume you can understand what the first part was, but yes, yeah. Nightmare, Lolly says. So clearly not going well for him.
Yeah, it's been a total mare from him since the start of this race. 2 pit stops, one of them unscheduled. Obviously doing a lap on the tyres that just didn't seem to work for him, but I don't know if he's going to be able to fight back from this one. Obviously Rotti there, just having a lap put on him by the race leader Bunyip Adventures. So now this is going to be crucial, whether or not the track's going to dry out quickly enough for him to start getting into the groove, and once it does, are the guys at the front going to pit, or are they going to try and stay out on what will eventually be quite worn out wet tyres, not just due to the fact that they've been driven on for a long time, but the fact that they might not even be suitable for the conditions. If the track dries out sufficiently, we could see ourselves with a fascinating split strategy race.
Indeed we could. Indeed we could here, as Little Leach is trying to unlap himself from Superfast Joe in P5. He's also a lap down on Gary. So Little Leach has been lapped by the entire field here. 2 laps down on the top 5, or now top 4 as he's passed Superfast Joe, but he's a lap down on everybody.
Oh.
He's got a lot of work to do in this final 20 minutes. And I tell you what, if the track does dry, and does he have to pit again? Unless, like you say, if the wet tyres start to wear up, as Gary's on the grass a bit there. That's strange from Gary, just making a little mistake. If the track dries up quick enough and he has to jump onto dry tyres, that'll be a 3rd pit stop in this race, and that is not what he wants for his championship title.
That'd be near enough race over.
Oh, that's who's had a spin? I think that's TJ Humpy who's had a spin at the Parabolica then, just in front of Little Leach. I thought Little Leach was nearly going to collect him. He rejoins now P6 as the Penguin Dude has got past him. Rotti's gaining on the back of Leto Melito for P8. So for P7, sorry. So that will give Rotti an extra place. All these points very handy for him. You see Declan Grant's coming up to lap the pair of them here.
Matthew, I'm just hearing reports now that apparently in order to score points in the race, you need to have completed 90% of the race distance. So say, for example, we were to complete 30 laps. Little Leach would have to complete at least 27 if he were to score points. At the moment, he's 2.5
laps down.
2 laps down. I mean, he needs to find something from somewhere. He needs to try and keep consistent and stay within that gap. If he can finish P10, I can try and do the maths. P10 would give you, I believe, 8 or 9 points. I mean, I think Rotti's still got quite a gap to overhaul. I don't think it's going to be possible for Rotti to actually get the championship. But
Andy, I'm just noticing on my screen that I think the rain has all but stopped here with 18 minutes remaining. No, sorry, it's slightly coming down. I think because it's gone darker, it looked like it had stopped there. No, it is slightly coming down, as we can see, coming down the back straight, on board with Rotti, who is still trying to gain on Leto Melito for that place. But I tell you what, everything that could have gone wrong for Little Leach tonight has. I mean, Rotti's not had the best of times neither, his closest championship rival. But oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Well, the thing about Rotti is that if the strategy starts to come into play and these guys up ahead do have to come into the pits, or his tyres start going back in, Rotty is in striking distance. I say striking distance, he's a minute off the lead, but certainly he's in a better position than Little Leach. Little Leach is currently in P10, a minute behind Rotty, 2 minutes behind the race leader. So Rotty isn't in a bad situation at the moment. If these guys come into the pits, he's going to be right on them once that happens. But at this point, it doesn't look like Rotty's struggling. And you see Rotty there going into the pit wall, not the pit wall, the wall on the outside of turn 1. So it looks like he is nowhere near in the comfort zone at this point, not really managing to get the best out of these slick tyres, as you would imagine in conditions like this. If you look at it, I mean, I'm just having a look at my onboard monitor on a few of these cars, and I tell you what, although the track conditions don't look too bad on the trackside cameras, on the onboard, it looks like a very, very challenging spectacle indeed. I don't really know how these guys are keeping the cars pointing in the right direction, especially through Parabolica, where you've got the puddles forming on the inside of the track. They're having to take such a wide berth coming through the corner.
Did TJ Humpy have a jump start? Because he's just done, as you've been saying that, I've just been on board with him, he's just done a drive-through penalty, or he's just driven through the pit lane anyway. So I wonder if he had a jump start and had a drive-through penalty there, did TJ Humpy. But yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the lap times as well, and Little Leach isn't doing enough. 2 seconds quicker than Rotty on the last lap. It's not enough to really sort of claw his way back into this one. He's really got to put the lap times in. The only person on track last time around was Bunyip Adventure, who did a 59 dead. Everybody else a minute or more. But Little Leach not getting the times in that he wanted. Gary's just gone into the 59 seconds as well. So a good lap time from Gary. But the rain's still falling here with 16 minutes left in this race. And I tell you what, it's just, what a disastrous race for Little Leach. He's got to be kicking himself. One man that isn't kicking himself, though, we've not spoke about because of all the drama, is this man Bunyip Adventure. 9.1 seconds in the lead in only his second motive racing race here in the Renault Clios. Absolutely putting in the lap times, 59 seconds most laps. Really consistent tonight, Andy, and pulling away from Declan Grant.
He's doing brilliantly, and he's obviously done his homework in these conditions around this track, and good on him. He's currently, as you say, 8.4 seconds ahead. It looks like Declan Grant is keeping him just about within his sights at the moment. The gap earlier on was around 10 seconds, so Declan's starting to get into a rhythm. I don't know if maybe the conditions start to become a bit more favourable. Declan might be able to close that gap a little bit more and make a race of it. But yeah, as you say, it's been totally dominant from Bunyip Adventures this week, and he would have been spurred on by the heartbreak of last week, losing that victory due to the 1 second penalty. That would have been eking at him. It would have been giving him more motivation to practice and get one up on Little Leach for obviously taking that win off of him. It looks like Little Leach isn't going to be a factor in this particular race in terms of the victory. So yeah, Bunyip Adventures looks like he's going to have a great chance of taking his first win at Motive Racing. Still a long way to go in this race. We're only half distance here in this Tier 2 finale of the season, but as you say, it's looking very good for his money at this point. Currently, last time around, 2 seconds quicker than the man in P2, Declan Grant. Declan does appear to be struggling a little bit. Maybe he's obviously these guys still on the wet tyres. Bunyip Adventures managing to keep these wet tyres reasonably cool for the time being, but obviously as the track dries up, they will start to overheat significantly. Actually, let's take some telemetry up if we can. We can actually see what the situation is. Or is that engine?
So where's Little Leach in relation to the rest of the guys on track? Is that Rotty just in front of him? So Rotty is just in front of Little Leach, but who has lapped him? Don't forget, Gary staying behind Little Leach, but not dropping. Gary staying well with him, and Gary could catch Rotty to take another place off of Rotty if that's the case. That'll help Little Leach out even more. As I say that, Gary's gone very wide, but Little Leach just coming out of Parabolica now. Bunyip Adventure just coming down the back straight. So that's how far he is behind to be classified as 90% race distance done. So he's got to sort of find some pace from somewhere. We're seeing Bunyip Adventure consistent in the 59 seconds a lap here. Little Leach doing the 59s as well, but it's not enough. He's only gaining a second, couple of tenths here and there. He gained 2 seconds over Rotty last lap. That 2 seconds still isn't enough for Little Leach to do anything here. If he is on the dry tyres, and it's starting to dry, let's have a look. Rain's still falling slightly. The track still looks quite greasy. So Lidlich possibly not on the right tyre just yet. Rotti coming into the Parabolica, we see now. Through the Parabolica he goes then. A lot of damage to a lot of these Clios tonight. TJ Umpy also has himself a time penalty. What a race we've seen. We've not seen the action on track that we thought we might have here. But has that been due to the fact that we've had a few bumps and scrapes in the first couple of laps, and then Gary and Lidlich pitting and getting himself a time penalty to really sort of ruin the race?
Yeah, I think the main separator in this one has been the wet conditions, because obviously in a drive we're so used to seeing cars, massive packs of 9 or 10 cars battling over P1 around this Monza short circuit. So yeah, it's 100% down to the changeable conditions, or all we've seen so far are only wet conditions, which has meant that a lot of drivers take into those conditions in different ways. And as you said, the collisions as well, causing everyone to the pits. Again, things that will just throw a spanner in the middle of the pack and split everybody up. So, as you say, we haven't really had the exciting nail-biting action that we're used to seeing at Monza Short over the years, over the last 3 seasons here at Motor Racing. I'm sure we'll be seeing that for Tier 1 in the sprint race, though. We've got dry conditions set for that one, I think, or for the feature maybe even. But,
I'm sure we will. Klaus Martini, just while you're saying that's gaining on the back of Declan Grant within a second of him. In fact, that gap's down to 0.4 of a second now. So gaining on the back of Declan Grant is Klaus Martini. Declan did a 1:10 last time round, so maybe made a mistake somewhere, and this is what's allowed Klaus onto the back of him. So a battle here for P2. They're well in front of Superfast Joe. Gary's also gaining on the back of Rotti.
Yeah, 1:10 last time from Declan Grant, so obviously a big mistake. Maybe hit a puddle or something, those tyres starting to overheat a little bit. So Klaus Martini.
I'm noticing in the background of this Klaus Martini Declan Grant battle, Little has unlapped himself from Rotti, and Gary's gone side by side with Rotti and has in fact passed him coming down the back straight. So Little is now is now on the same lap, I do believe, as Rotti. I'm not quite sure actually. Yeah, Rotti was a lap ahead of Little Each. Little Each has now lapped him and has started to pull away as well. So that's bonus for Little Each over keeping up with Rotti in this championship here, or at least on track. He's got to obviously do a full lap to get back to him to overtake him for a position, but Rotti's now lost another place as Gary's managed to get past. Back to the battle for second place. You see Klaus Martini crawling all over the back of Declan Grant. And I take you to a race last week, Andy, that me and you commentated, and we saw Little H in that changeable conditions at Silverstone, albeit GT3 cars. But he seemed to struggle when the rain came in that race as well, and his pit strategy didn't seem right in that race. So maybe something he's got to work on.
And one thing in this one is that due to the heaviness of the rain at the start, I think it would have been, to me, it wasn't really, there was no option really to change on the dry tyres. It was far too early at that point, and it's kind of cost him. It cost him when he, in the first pit stop, I don't know what was going on in the first one, but he seemed to be all over the place, and I think he changed back to the wets after the first stop. That's what I believe happened in this race. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he initially changed to the dry and realised it was the wrong decision.
We've seen him on the back straight going ever so slow and pretty much crawled into the pits. We've just seen Gary at Bunyip Adventure as into the 58. I did see briefly the lap before last, Gary was also in the 58, so maybe if Gary is on the slick tyre from his pit stop and managed to get them working, he's going to start to pull away from Rotti. Don't forget, him and Little each have the 10-second penalty, I think he said. So Gary's really got to get his foot down in front of Rotti. He's already 4 seconds in front of him, but he's got to keep the pace on to stay ahead of Rotti, so Rotti can't get back. P8 at the end. 9 minutes remain here at Monza Short, and we're still seeing Klaus Martini all over the back of Declan Grant. No lights on Declan's Grant car. You can see that the pit crew there at the end of this race will have a job to do, hammering out all them bumps and dints. And if this was the touring cars, that front bumper would be duct taped to the side ready for the next race, and it'd be an absolute job on for them before if there was a second race. But Declan Grant up on his time into the 58s now for him, but so was Klaus Martini. Declan Grant 2/10 quicker last time round, but can't seem to drop Klaus Martini here.
One thing that's going to draw your attention to, Matthew, is the fact that Gary, currently running in P8, came into this race in 5th in the championship, and Superfast Joe came into this one 6th in the championship. 13 points separated them going into this race. Currently, Superfast Joe sat in P4. He's going to take 25 points from this race. Gary sat P8. He's going to take 14. So if Gary were to lose one more position back behind Rotti for whatever reason, maybe Rotti finds some grip as the track dries out. Obviously, we know we think Rotti's on the dry tyres. So potentially, if Gary loses that P8, that will cost him a promotion spot.
Now, question for you: what is P9's points? Because obviously NJ's not here. Just looking at the points, Gary's only 4 points behind NJ. So NJ, 11 points. It's enough points for him to still go through with NJ. Obviously, not being here tonight, NJ is going to be affected massively. Superfast Joe's done fantastic to be where he is. This could put him above NJ. So Gary, I don't think is the one that's going to be missing out. I think it could be NJ missing out with him not being here tonight. I think, even if Gary, I think, comes 9th, or even if Little Each somehow manages to get round and pass Gary, I still think he'll get top 5 promotion with NJ not being on the grid.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly close. I might need to get my pen and paper and calculator out in a second, try and figure it out.
Klaus Martini's gone very wide at Parabolica, and all the time he was gaining on Declan Grant, he's now just lost there. He's now 1.5 behind Declan Grant. You can sort of see a dry line through the exit to Parabolica there. Let's just jump on the cockpit cam of Klaus Martini. You see there a lovely dry line down the start-finish straight, so maybe the time for the dry tyre to come into play here. Let's see what tyre people are on, or if people pit for the slick tyre. One man who could possibly pit for a dry tyre is Bunyip Adventure, who's 21 seconds out front. Klaus Martini now has dropped well off the back of Declan Grant, so he's got all that work to do again in 6.5 minutes. Bunyip Adventure here, he's in a world of his own, keeping the pace consistent. So he's not dropping any pace here. He's just keeping it very consistent and very fast as well. The only one of 3 men in the 58s. There's a 58.9 there, very quick for him. Gary, in terms of Rotti, we know he's got the 10-second time penalty. He's 8.1 seconds ahead of Rotti. Now, one thing I'm surprised with here. Well, I'm actually not surprised with this actually. Gary's not got past Little Each, even though he's been quicker. That doesn't surprise me at all here. He's going to try and keep him in front, I reckon.
At the moment, it looks like Gary is kind of pulling Little Leach along a little bit, and maybe Little Leach doesn't want to compromise Gary too much. Obviously, with Gary still having a shot at getting promotion here, so he probably doesn't want to compromise him. Little Leach pretty much has this championship wrapped up. Rotti currently running in 9th place. It's gonna let's have a quick look, because NJ obviously came into this 3rd. He's not here tonight. TJ Hompey currently sat 6th. So there's nobody really in the picture who could take the win tonight and might stop Little Leach from taking the championship. This pretty much Little Leach is in the bag. He just wants to probably help Gary out and ensure that Gary gets that top 5 spot.
Little Leach as well just needs to make sure he's done the 90% race distance to obviously score maximum points as well. Or to score points, as he's ran wide at Parabolica. And we're saying about trying to help Gary along. They nearly touched there and nearly took each other out mid Parabolica there. So now, will Gary let Little Each back through, or will Little Each let Gary get away here? I think Gary's letting him through there. That one doesn't surprise me at all. Brothers sort of helping each other through down the grid. Now, Gary, I'm surprised he's not trying to gain on Leto Melito just for an extra couple of points to consolidate that place. Little Each, on the top of your screen, you'll see the time between Little Each and Rotti is 40 seconds. Little Each is to Rotti. So a lot of time still to make up, pretty much just short of a full lap to make up. Rotti's really dropped off the back of Gary, though. He's only coming onto the back straight now as they're halfway down it. He's got Superfast Joe's gaining on Rotti here. So Superfast Joe, fantastic race for him. And a shout out as well to Penguin Dude. Start of this race, we've said this a couple of times, but start of the race was like well off the back of the pack, and he's now running P5, halfway up the order. So a fantastic drive from Penguin Dude then.
Yeah, he's made his way back through really nicely. I'm not sure what happened to him as they came through the first corner. It looked a little bit like it could have been an incident actually between himself and Klaus Martini, I think you mentioned, as they came through turn 1. But it definitely didn't look too great for those guys. Penguin Dude's done a fantastic job of getting himself through the pack. It looks like Leto Melito's got TJ Hompey putting up onto the back of him, Matthew, as these guys come towards Parabolica. Is TJ Hompey going to go for a move? It looks like Leto Melito kind of half-assed defence towards the inside, and in the end there's no way around him. Obviously that puddle on the inside of Parabolica Makes it very, very difficult to go for any moves up the inside, both of them taking a wide berth around the corner. And Leto Melito for the time holding on to that position, but TJ Humpy, I'm sure, is going to fancy that 6th spot here at the end of this race.
I think he is. They'll have to slow down and let Declan Grant through as the blue flags will start to wave now for TJ Humpy. Declan Grant still running P2, has managed to drop Klaus Martini after his problem at Parabolica a couple of laps ago. Not let Declan Grant through there. And that's Leto Melito who's made a mistake. He's made a mistake coming through turn 1. And TJ Humpy's collected him. This Declan Grant who got Klaus Martini really sort of reeling him in after that incident. That's allowed TJ Humpy up into P6. He has a time penalty. So we'll see at the end of the race what he's got. But Leto Melito now
still yet to yield over to those blue flags being waved at him. Declan Grant and Klaus Martini. Declan Grant is going to lose out massively to Klaus Martini, as you said. TJ Humpy's still not pulling over. I'm surprised he hasn't moved over after that. But he's still got these guys right behind him.
Am I right in saying, Andy, that the game will automatically disqualify you after so many blue flags? I heard that from somebody the other day, and I'm not 100% certain. As he's let Declan Grant through there. Someone was. He's cut across Klaus Martini there as TJ Humpy. Klaus Martini trying to put a lap on TJ Humpy, and TJ Humpy really cut him up towards the pit entrance. Yeah, I was speaking with somebody the other day, and they said that so many blue flags, you get disqualified. I didn't know how true that was.
I don't know, because I've had situations where I've been on a different set of tyres, and I remember I was being lapped by I had someone behind me, but it was a race around Hockenheim, I think, in the Ginettas, and we were very, very similar pace, so I didn't move over for the blue flags. He was behind me for a long time. And after the race, we had a conversation, and he said to me, I was happy for you to stay in front because you obviously had the pace. But for the whole race, I had blue flags waving at me, and there was no need to move over. Because obviously we had the same pace. But
that's fair. TJ Humpy wide at Parabolic, and that's allowed Klaus Martini through this time, but he's lost all that time he gained again on Declan Grant through the crash that he had with Leto Melito and TJ Humpy. Incidents up and down. Everybody seemed to make places or gain on people through just incidents, not through pace here, just silly incidents. Tonight, Bunyip Adventure here, higher field. He's coming up on Superfast Joe in 4th place. So he's only not lapped 3 cars here. That is outstanding from Bunyip Adventure, who's going to come across the line now to start his final lap of the Tier 2 category. And what a drive it's been. He's kept his head down. He's pumped in the lap times all race. He's not dropped off the pace at all. But Bunyip Adventure looks set to take this win. He's going to need something drastic for him to lose 24 seconds to Declan Grant. Gary is well in front of Rotti then. He's 13 seconds. He's gaining on the back of Leto Melito, but will only have 1 lap to pass him, catch him, pass him, and pull 10 seconds in front. So I don't think that will happen here then. But this man, Bunyip Adventure, how many laps did you say that Little Each would need to do if Bunyip did 30? 27?
27. It'd still be 27, I think. Oh, no, hold on.
31 laps Bunyip's on.
That's 28, wouldn't it? Because it'd have to be...
Yeah. As Bunyip Adventure out of Parabolica while Andy works it out. He's about to put another lap. Is he? I'm not sure he will. It'll be a flash of the lights for Bunyip Adventure. He's going to take his first win at Motive Racing in Tier 2. A man to watch in the future. Crosses the line. And a brilliant win for him. What a race that was. Superfast Joe will finish P4 a lap down. We've got 2nd place here, Declan Grant. Good race for him, qualified towards the back of the grid. And he's going to come round to take a 2nd place. He'd love to flash his lights, but there's that much damage to his Renault Clio. There's no lights left to flash. But a 2nd place for him. Not been as laggy tonight as we've seen him in recent weeks. So a good drive for Declan Grant for a P2. Klaus Martini's going to take 3rd then. Superfast Joe, we know, has already finished 4th. TJ Humpy's going to cross the line in P5. Leto Melito will get 6th. In fact, no, goes to P5 ahead of TJ Humpy. Gary takes 7th. Penguin Dude, what happened to him at the end? He ended up behind Gary in 8th. He's now jumped back up to 6th. So a mistake from Penguin Dude maybe towards the end of the race. Gary gets 8th then. Rotti is going to cross the line to finish 9th. In fact, I don't think he is. He's going to run out of time. No, he'll be able to cross the line here. So Rotti finishes in 9th with Little Each finishing. Little Each he did 29 laps, so I presume he's all right with that then, Andy.
Yeah, Little Leach is Tier 2 champion of Motor Racing's Clio Cup for Season 4. Massive congratulations to him. Rotti, in the end, wouldn't have taken it due to the fact that he came in ninth place. So he would have picked up the points he would have picked up, I think, 11. No, he would have picked up 9 points for finishing in ninth place. That wouldn't have been enough to overhaul Little Leach, even if Little Leach hadn't scored points. But Little Leach does score points for P10, so massive congratulations to Little Leach on a great season. And he's top dog this season.
He's absolutely fantastic. The race that he wouldn't have wanted to go this way was probably this one now, Andy, for the title. But now a massive congratulations to Little Leach on his win there. Bunyip, advance to him. Second race of the season for him, and he's taken the win. Declan Grant with a good podium as well. Klaus Martini got third. Superfast Joe fourth. Leto Melito gained fifth in the end as Penguin Dude threw it away on the last lap. TJ Hompey seventh. Gary eighth with a 10-second penalty. Rotti ninth and Little Leach in 10th. Fastest lap of the race went to 10-second penalty. Rotti ninth and Little Leach in 10th. Fastest lap of the race went to penalties for the guys who came into the pit lane. Dear, what a race we had there, Andy. Absolutely fantastic.
We had a hell of a lot of drama going on in that one, and ultimately Bunyip Adventure managed to skip out all of that and just totally ran off into the distance. It was a truly spectacular drive from him. Looking forward to seeing him in Tier 1 next season. We've only had him for a couple of races, but we've already seen well and truly what he's about. We're also looking forward to seeing guys like Little Leach, Rotti, Gary, Superfast Joe as well, up in the top league next season. Commiserations to those who missed out. We're looking forward to seeing them once again in the Tier 2 7 o'clock slot next season. Absolutely brilliant season from Little Leach, and obviously the one blip on his season had to come at the last race, but I'm sure it's not going to sour the taste too much, and I'm sure he can go into next season with his head held high, knowing that he's the quickest guy, the best overall.
I've just been told from Little Leach that he actually started on the slicks, pitted, put the slicks on, then had to come back into the pits for the wet tyre. So didn't change his tyre at the start, obviously. So a disaster from the start for Little Leach. But no, congrats to him, congrats to the guys who have been promoted. We'll see the guys in Tier 2 for next season. I think we're going to take just a quick break, Andy, and while we get ready for the Tier 1, is that right?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. I think G said to me to race this one, apparently, so I don't know if I'm going to be on the track or in the commentary box, but we'll get that figured out in a moment anyway. But yeah, we'll be 5 or 10 minutes or so until we get that one underway. So we'll see you guys very, very shortly.
Yep. Stay tuned for Tier 1 in just a moment.